because it generates it on the fly. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've actually never checked the navbar. No, it doesn't show live streams. I should add like currently streaming. Hello everyone, aka no one.
Hello.
All right, so I've got the URL.
I need
Bang.
that URL.
I'm gonna post that.
So I can tweet it.
Sling.
Because you gotta tweet it.
Bang. I've tweeted the
just-
tweet.
Yeah. Speaking of singing things and things, we should totally get a part 2 verse of you rapping for the Navbar intro.
Yes, I've proven the world that I'm good at it. But then it becomes really long.
That's true. But also really enjoyable.
Should I have
think
antennas
everyone,
like
everyone
would
would
it
appreciate the
improve
additional.
my Wi-Fi reception if I had 2 antennas like this?
Oh god, we've got to that point of the day. This episode is going to be a Simon heavy episode, so if that's how we're starting it, it's
Am I
we're
ever
in
have to
for
talk in this one? Let me drink
we're in
water
for a
first.
journey. All right, screencasting hiccups. Retweet. Let's hear Simon rant about technical woes
Spicy water.
on the Navbar.
Hiccups. They happened.
They definitely happened. Yeah, it was like a week of hiccups for you. Although we'll hear all about it. Stay tuned, everybody. You'll hear about it soon.
I just drank half a liter of sparkling water. I don't know if it was a good idea. It's like the Sprite challenge. I don't know if you've seen on TikTok the Sprite challenge.
No. I'm assuming
It's just people trying to
doesn't end well.
drink a whole bottle of Sprite, like a small one, but the whole thing without burping, like holding back. And it seems, I haven't tried, but it seems like everyone's like, yeah, easy, I can do it. And they get to half and then they're like, oh my God. And then suddenly like it's people say like the the demon came out of like these super deep, massive burps come out like. And then there's, of course,
Welcome to the Burpcast.
compilations of all the best ones where like these young pretty girls and the biggest animal sound comes out of them.
I love that if you join us live, you get all of this extra content where we basically just talk about dog farts and Sprite burps. So
Yes.
welcome to the dog fart burp cast.
I was fully expecting the Sprite challenge to make it completely mainstream, like the stuff that everyone knows. But it stopped just short of that. Maybe it's like okay.
Okay. All right.
but it's in my mind because I just drank half this bottle and there's bubbles in there and it's a big bottle. And I regret this executive decision.
I was not a part
I'll mute
of
myself.
this executive decision.
No, you were not. I just when you were, because you said it's gonna be a Simon heavy content where he speaks a lot, and I was like, I'm dry. I need to drink water to hydrate myself.
All right. Okay. Welcome to the Navbar, a podcast where not ready.
What are we?
We haven't done our synchronized sip of water.
Oh, I gotta drink more water.
You got to drink more of this.
I think we're gonna be.
You should have thought.
I know.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the Navbar.
Oh my God.
Hydrated podcast. Hydration cast.
The hydrate cast. Hydrogen.
Sneaky sip of coffee.
Log chopper. Hydrogen. Yeah. No, not hydrogen. The hydraulic log chopping device. That's the past episode.
People are not going to get what we're talking about. Also, this is not ideal starting this at midday when it's lunchtime, because the only people that join us for the live stream are from ThinkMill, who will all be enjoying a lunch right now. So we're not going to have anyone join us live. Sad times on the Navbar podcast.
That's by design.
Are you ready to go?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you want to do some star jumps quickly? Bring that energy up, Simon.
I feel like I should get up and. No, it's okay.
Okay.
I might mute myself and hide for a second. I feel the
Do some
sprite.
some sitting star jumps. This is not effective.
It's not doing anything. Turns out the legs are the big motor in that. All right. I don't even know. Yeah, I kind of know. So you want to hear about my woes and how I overcome them?
I think just go through, like the dot points. So do your classic setup. So talk about like what you used to do with ScreenFlow, and then maybe like what problem you hit there, where you decided to look for something else. Because you were telling me, it was maybe on an episode, but we can just go through it again, that it was like you wanted to do the extra like animation. What's it called? Keyframe animation or whatever. What is it? Some kind of overlay of. You did it for a Tailwind video. I think that's why you. Unless you were lying to me, I think that's why you switched to DaVinci Resolve.
Just to have more control.
More control.
Motion graphics, maybe. Oh no, I don't.
Motion graphics.
Right. We can say we're not gonna do the episode before we do the episode.
Yeah, and then and then you can talk through your QuickTime and DaVinci Resolve setup and why that was awesome, why it worked for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can tell us about what happened, and then the new setup of OBS. And why that's working now. And then just anything else you considered when I was telling you just to go back to ScreenFlow, and I'm sure everyone was giving you very unwarranted advice about just using the thing that they use because it's the only answer for your problem, and probably making you even more frustrated with everyone chiming in with their suggestions after it was too late.
After it's gone, yeah. All right, let's do this.
Okay. I'm just going to make sure I'm not backing up because for some reason my quality has plummeted. Yeah,
you're doing the 180, not the 1080p, the 180p guest appearance.
Man, what is it? Maybe the little ones inside are becoming difficult little ones, and maybe the TV has gone on. maybe we're streaming Netflix Play School 4K. All right. Let me just check I'm not downloading, and then I'll start the episode and we'll get going. I don't know why I'm singing everything today. Maybe we do need to make a Navbar album.
Yeah, playlist. Write a song for each guest.
Yeah.
That's something I always wanted. I've never done it, but at Tailwind I was like, I'm gonna prepare like raps or like songs or ukulele stuff. Like I've done a couple of intros. But I was like, people loved it, and I was like, I'm gonna do like every video has like a theme song, and then there's just too much stress and other things, and so many other moving parts in the production of a video that I was like, do I want to take another extra hour in my evening or whatever to do a fun little intro? It's not really a work thing, but it still makes the video better. Although when I did the one for the Prettier plugin, I did like a Zoom meeting where I'm in every square and we all argue about like what class order should be used. and I did it as a joke, and I thought, I don't know how the team is going to be like, don't spend too much time on this. And they were like, this is awesome. That shows how much passion and effort you put in the videos. So I was like, maybe I should have gone along and written custom songs. It's too late now. I can do it for my own stuff.
All right, Simon, jump in the air 3 times.
Hen starfish. All right.
Or are you trying to keep the energy aggressive and frustrated to make sure that you don't seem happy about these technical frustrations that
No, I want to seem happy. I'm always like, first of all, I am happy. Like, I don't know how
I want to seem happy.
I am still happy after losing.
I want to be happy.
Yeah. I am a very half completely full kind of person. All right, let's start. Come on.
All right. Come on. Get to it. Welcome to the Navbar, a podcast where we help you navigate the web and raise the bar of your content creation. My name is John Myers. I'm a developer advocate from Superbase.
And I am Simon Vrashley-Otis, a content creator, designer, developer living in Sydney, Australia. And today, following recent events and little accidents and hiccups happening while recording some screencasts of a pretty major importance. I thought that would be a good opportunity to go back through what I used to record my screencast. We have done an episode on that, but more like just literally how record my screen and my face, nothing else, and then talk about the pros and cons and the problems that happened recently and what's my strategy to remediate that and try to avoid future problems. How does that sound to you?
I'm very excited for this because I haven't actually like tweaked my like recording setup part since I guess I went through like the Egghead, how to Egghead wiki. They have a bunch of screencasts that are awesome. It's completely open source and free to check out if you want to learn how to do screencasting. But yeah, they basically go through how you would do an Egghead style video using ScreenFlow. And I just like, I tried ScreenFlow. I thought it was awesome, and it was much easier than using. I think I was just using like iMovie or something before that, and so learning how to do it properly with ScreenFlow, I just haven't ever gone back and thought I should try something else. You've almost convinced me to use DaVinci Resolve, which I think we'll hear a lot about soon. But yeah, I really enjoy the simplicity of ScreenFlow, but I would love to hear your experience with different ways of doing this. So why don't we rewind all the way back to the start? What was your classic setup of when you first started getting into screencasting?
I think just before rewinding, I'm just going to give 2 seconds of context of what happened recently. I'm preparing a free tutorial for Pro Tailwind. So Pro Tailwind is a paid course, but there's a lot of free materials which can provides more signups and like just more like karma points towards the community. And I had these 8 to 10 lessons to record, and I recorded them. And then when I started editing them, I found some problems with like video freezing or losing frames. But the real problem happened when I was at the end of the last lesson. I finished recording and I was literally about to say, all right, let's stop recording. And in my head, this little blitz, little light bulb said, oh, that would be so cool to just like, instead of stopping here, just build like a full-blown component that uses TypeScript, and then there's props, and you can show how to style different props with Tailwind. And I was like, all right, I'm still recording camera screen. Let's just roll with it. And I did like a semi-rehearsed, but also on the spot, 2.5 hour live recording of running through the whole process of building that stuff. And because it was impromptu, it wasn't planned, there was a lot of like little errors or like backpedaling and like going down a rabbit hole and then, oh no, let's not do it this way. And I thought that told a really nice story of a real approach to like, you can see how I think and how I would solve these problems. And while I was recording, in my head, I was like, holy crap, like I'm in the flow and this is really cool. And I was smiling and I had good energy. And I was like, all these teaching moments where I stare at the camera and I give some special nuggets of wisdom. And I was like, this is going to be incredible. And at the end, I go and I finish the recording and I stop the camera and I stop the screen. And I was using QuickTime. And usually QuickTime it just pops up. Here's the thing you've just done. And you can save it with a special name. And it didn't come up. And I was like, come on.
Maybe it's just a really long video and it takes a while to pop up.
And in my head, I was like, I've been doing that so many times, recording with screen time, hours long, never a problem. Anyway, long story short, it never made it. And then somehow, through some deep research on the internet, I found a temporary folder where QuickTime stores stuff before it finalizes the file. And it was there. And I was like, oh my God, thank God it's there. But it was only the first 44 minutes out of 2 hour plus. And these 44 minutes were absolute BS because it was freeze framing like all over the place, pretty much from 20 minutes. So
it's almost worse, like almost recovering it, getting some of it back. Like
I know
you haven't just got that initial like grief of losing it that you need to deal with. You then have this moment of hope, like yes, it's coming, I've got it, this is fine, and then just plummet back down again.
Took me on the roller coaster ride, and when I found it, I was like, 44 minutes it's not bad. Like it's 1/3, so maybe I can just re-record. And then I realized it's only 20 minutes that is valid, and then it stops skipping frames. And so I thought I will close all my applications and just record with QuickTime. And I recorded the whole thing the next day. thinking, let's try to be genuine and pretend it's the first time I do it on the spot, which is hard. It was still a good delivery, and it happened again, second time. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to move to a farm and farm potatoes. And
I'm done. I'm done with content creation. I'm done with software development.
The other thing is that thing was not even meant to be in the tutorial. That was like an extra bonus. But because I went through the idea of doing it and I had done the work, I was like, that would kill me if it's not part of the thing, because it's that new thing that just elevates the quality so much. And yeah, I've figured out another way to record, and I'm happy to say now that I successfully recorded this and edited. But yeah, that prompted the discussion of like going through what have I used to start with, what did I move to, and all the way to today. So basically you get another Simon's origin story episode.
Simon's content creation origin story. Technology origin story. Well, why don't you take us back to your classic setup, your first setup that you had when you first started creating content? What did you use to record your screen, and what did you use to edit video?
So let's go all the way back. Like you said, the very first screencast I did, I remember it was in 2013, where I took resolutions to start making content to give back to the community, because I learned almost everything through YouTube and blog posts and tutorials. And I was like, now I'm at the stage where I want to contribute back and also try to create a little audience through creating content. And I looked things up and I had no idea how to do any of that. And I think, funnily enough, I started with QuickTime because I was on the Mac, and most of my research said, hey, did you know that Mac has that built-in tool to record your screen? It's called QuickTime. You can watch videos, but you can also record your audio, your screen, and your face. Now you can actually do multiple at a time, but before it was like you had to choose between screen recording, which is your screen, or movie recording, which is your face. Kind of like your phone, you have to choose which camera. You can't maybe you can do both, I don't know. But so I think I started recording with QuickTime. I didn't have a camera and I didn't worry about my face being on camera. So I literally just did audio with my Blue Yeti plugged via USB and recorded with QuickTime. And that worked fine. That worked really great. Great enough that my videos were pretty cool, and I, thanks to that, got invited by Taylor Bell from the Egghead team to be an instructor on Egghead. That was like at 2015, 14, 15, 16. I'm not sure exactly, quite early. I'm one of these... No, I'm not gonna do this. I was gonna I have the original Egghead case that only the early adopters, it's huge. They was doing this Pelican case that is like, it's hard to put it in the car because it's like a massive bulky thing. And I know since they've moved to a much thinner, smaller case, I have it there and it's full of like audio gear and stuff. And if I travel, I literally take it, even if it's the bulkiest thing, because I'm like, this thing can fall off a plane and go into the ocean in salt water, and it's still gonna be super safe. Like, I think the advertising, it's like only that case and cockroaches will survive the worst, like the end of the world.
Yeah, nice.
And
so
then
you were. So did you do your first Egghead course using QuickTime, or did you?
No. So the transition is when I joined QuickTime. When I joined Egghead, they have this like concept of. Actually, before you receive that case, they say, hey, do a first video, pretend that it's an Egghead video, and we're going to get you to the standard that we have. So they tell you about the screen resolution, hide the menu bar, all these things. And I did record without reading it fully. And then they say, oh, you have to redo it because the menu bar is showing all that stuff. And once you get to the format, they say, hey, we're going to send you audio gear, like microphone, audio interface. And also here's a guide of how to be an instructor, which kind of evolved into this howtoegghead.com resource, which I think is mostly, his name, I can't think of the name right now.
Is it Laura?
John Lundquist and Joe Madalone, and like a couple of like the OG Egghead folks with Joel Hooks, like created these resources on how to record badass screencasts, essentially. And in there, they were like...
It's amazing that it's still so up to date. Like, I mean, I went through this in probably 2018, maybe 2019 when I started working with Egghead. And, like, that's what I used to edit videos in the exact same way that I still edit
Yep.
them now. So yeah, it's amazing how up to date that was. I didn't realize that it was even such an old resource, because I've just been still do it that way.
It's great. It's fantastic. And so I don't think Egghead was like forcing you to use ScreenFlow, but they were like, this is what we use. It works really well. We're really good. And I was like, hey, I may as well embrace like this professional setup. And I got ScreenFlow, and it's fantastic. Like I would still use it today. ScreenFlow lets you record multiple sources. So when you do a recording, they're like, do you want your camera? You're like, yes. Do you want your screen? Yes. Do you want your microphone? Yeah. You can choose all the sources to record, and it saves them separately, like in completely isolated tracks. So then you have the power of like deciding if you want just the screen and your face, maybe a little circle in the bottom, and you can mix and match like this, because ScreenFlow is a recording software, but also editing software. And it's by design super, super simple and intuitive. There's a lot of things that you can't do, or if you want, you have to really work around. Like it's built to be super easy defaults, like transitions and fades and call outs and lots of really interesting stuff. It's basically a great kind of like Keynote to make slides. Like it's super easy to pick up. But if you want to do super specific advanced video editing and motion graphics and things like this, that's maybe where it's not even you hit the limitations. It's designed to be simple, so it's not the right fit if you want to be like a Hollywood production movie shop. And so I've used ScreenFlow for many years. And like I said, I would still use it now. It's not like it wasn't good or it failed me or I've decided to move on. But one thing that happened later is when I was doing videos for Tailwind Labs, I've decided to take editing a little bit further, like make special custom intros and animation and even a bit of motion graphics, which is where you write some text and you keyframe it and then you move it and you do another keyframe and you make things move, and kind of like these marketing videos that you see around. If you remember the Tailwind 3 video introduction, there was like a 1-minute clip. I've made it with another software I'm going to talk about soon. And there's absolutely no way you can do that in ScreenFlow. It's just not meant to be doing sort of stuff. You can have a title and with like some default transitions, but you can't like keyframe motion graphic stuff, which you typically use something like Adobe After Effects or DaVinci Resolve for. And so I thought I'm going to keep using ScreenFlow to record my sources, and then I'm going to try to work in a different environment to edit. And turns out ScreenFlow, for reasons that I understand, store the recordings in a proprietary codec. Like they have their own file. It's like .screenflow, I think. And it only works inside ScreenFlow. And basically it records the screen, but also metadata around your cursor and clicks. And like it lets you hide the mouse if you want, but also make every time you click, make little circles or like little things that you want. And it doesn't, in QuickTime you can do it, but it's like baked in. It's like, do you want the click effect? And if you say yes, it's going to do it every time. Where in ScreenFlow, you have this like pure raw recording, but then you have options in the panel to say, hey, for this clip, just between the split and that split, please actually show the click and show the mouse, but the rest of the time I don't want it. So that's super cool. Again, it's like simplified screencasting. And so for that reason,
actually turn the.
Yep.
Do you mean you can turn the cursor off at certain points?
Yes.
Like you can. Oh, I didn't even notice. That is cool. So I'm thinking like there have been many times where I've edited together like 2 takes to move the cursor from like one screen to the other. That would have been simple if I could get rid of the cursor on one side and then just add the motion. Yep. Sorry, anyone who's listening is not going to understand what I'm talking about whatsoever. But when you're doing content creation and you want to like edit a video, like the cursor is a really important aspect to kind of direct the user's attention. And so if it moves in a weird spot that's not related to what you're talking about, it's really distracting and can really distract the user from what you're trying to teach them. And so like I've always been really careful and really intentional with everywhere my mouse moves and everywhere I click, because it's like I always think of it as like any movement is directing the user's eyes to that thing. So using the cursor to move their attention from one window to the other. But with that comes all kinds of problems when you go into editing two parts together when you don't remember the exact position that your mouse was in the first time you did that take. And so you
Yeah.
have to kind of approximate it and then, edit two pieces together. But yeah, that's really cool to know that you can actually turn off the mouse entirely on one of those takes.
Of course,
I will be using that in the future.
I found out about that feature pretty much right as I stopped using ScreenFlow. So I can think of hours and hours and hours of my life where I'm like, okay, the mouse is like at the second paragraph line and it's like maybe 5 millimeters left of the P letter, a bit low. And so like I'm like carefully trying to put the mouse at the exact same spot before redoing the take, or doing a whole take and then realize, oh no, I had the mouse up there, I should start again. But starting with the mouse, like I've done all this work to try to, and then like you said, when you edit, it makes a tiny jump. So you go with the fade in, or like you try to find a way to kind of blend it through. And then I found out about this hide cursor. And if you split the timeline and you say hide cursor, it's only gonna hide it. Or it's one of these things, this yellow squares. I forgot how. I think it may be a call out where you drag
Yeah.
it for a specific portion of the timeline. And then during that yellow time call out, you can hide the cursor. So I was like,
That's awesome.
are you telling me I've done hours and hours and hours of trying to, or even just when I talk, I move the mouse out of the screen into a different screen, or in the just right on the edge of an image, so it's kind of like incognitos, like a chameleon hiding in a strategic place, and you can use the software to remove all of that. So
Nice.
all that to say, like ScreenFlow is amazing, and I understand why they record. For the screen, I understand because there's all that metadata, but the camera feed, which is literally just your face, is also in this thing that doesn't work anywhere outside of ScreenFlow. And when I've decided to make a little bit more advanced video editing, I was like, I want to record stuff and then use it in a different app. Like I love ScreenFlow as a recording device, but I want to edit like with more advanced features. And that's when I realized if you want to do this, you have to put the entire recording in a timeline in ScreenFlow and export it as a movie with the highest possible lossless resolution, which means the rendering takes like 2 or 3 hours because it's like, I'm working with the biggest possible file and every frame needs to be perfect. And also it's like multiple gigs. Like I would have a 15 to 20 gig raw footage and then I would have to export it like a 2 hour long high resolution stuff, and then export that in the even bigger lossless formats to be able to import it. And that was just not an option. It was just too much. The time. It's not just like save as. You have to render the whole movie as a lossless export, which takes hours. And it's basically every minute of footage takes 2, 3, 4 minutes of export. So if you have 2 hours and you want the raw thing, you can set it and go to sleep, and it's still going in the morning, I guess.
Yeah. And that's when you get to really hear what your fans sound like on your on your laptop or on your
That's true.
iMac or whatever you're using. It basically will, if you're trying to export it or render it out in that lossless file format, you will definitely hear the fans. Even on the M1s, M2 Max, you will hear the fans ramp up for sure.
Yeah. And so that was kind of my departure from ScreenFlow. It's for like just control purposes of using the recordings somewhere else. And actually, I still love ScreenFlow. I would probably still use it for like a quick project. And my wife, like a year ago, she had to do a school project. She's a teacher. She had to edit a video, and she was like, "Oh, what's iMovie? Like, there's something with iMovie that wasn't just doing what she wanted." And I said, "Oh, I have a license for ScreenFlow. You can use that license. It's an old version, but if you like it, just buy a new version." Like, and she's like, I didn't have to train her at all. Like, she's good with computers, but she's not a video editor. And she was like, "Oh yeah, drag stuff, add an effect, change the volume, change the speed, like all the intuitive stuff." Like I said, like Keynote, it's super intuitive. So if you're looking for a solution that lets you record all your stuff and edit all in one, ScreenFlow is amazing. I still highly recommend that. But I departed from that for like more advanced power user decisions. And I went back to QuickTime because I was like, I can record the camera straight into the camera SD card, which is still what I sometimes do to this date. We'll touch up on that. And then I can use a QuickTime to record the screen. And then I flip-flopped many times between recording the audio inside the camera. So I have the audio and the camera together. The advantage is like you can make sure it's synchronized because it goes together in the same file. Where if you record the audio with the screen, then you have to figure out the delay and like sync up the stuff.
Yeah,
and so,
I know the magic number for me is 4 right square bracket things, which is what nudges, I guess nudge. Maybe a millisecond or maybe
it's
a couple
frame,
of milliseconds.
So it's
whatever.
4 frames.
A frame, okay. Yeah, so I know every time I record in my audio that I need to select the audio and then hit the right square button 4 times. So I probably should just invest the time in actually syncing those up properly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of these things that is, and it's easy to miss or bypass if you don't pay close attention, or even if you have like Bluetooth headphones. So you're used to that tiny delay between the audio and the lips, and you're like, oh, that's just the world of consuming content with Bluetooth. Yeah. So, but I used to have a shotgun mic, the Rode Video Mic NTG, that has a mini jack that it's meant to be on top of a camera. So I had it in front of me like this one, but then I had the cable going inside the camera. So that was perfect. That was like my voice and face, and then the screen was just a screen. And then when I moved to this microphone, which is XLR, I don't have like a thing to make it go back to a mini jack to go in the camera. So I record my screen and audio, and I still record the audio from the camera, but the kind of crappy camera sound. And that gives me the audio timeline so I can sync them up together really nicely. And that has worked absolutely fantastically. Like for my whole tenure at Tailwind Labs, which is where I started using QuickTime and DaVinci Resolve, and everything I've done up to last week, I've done this way. I record QuickTime, my camera, never a single issue whatsoever, to the point where you don't even think of, oh, what if, should I have a backup, or what could go wrong? It just works, yeah? It's like QuickTime, it's this internal app, it knows the system, and it works really well.
Yeah, you would think the Mac app would be the best at taking those sources and feeding them into the Mac computer. That makes sense.
Exactly, like right now we're doing a live stream recording, and I'm not recording any backup because I have so much trust in Ecamm Live, and I should probably not. I'm going to record now that I said the jinx. Sorry, but yeah, I had complete faith, and it became not even a question. Like I would just, all right, record my screen, and you can see the little circle at the top in the menu bar that tells you, hey, this is recording. Whenever you hit stop, it stops, and it pops up the video. So I never even thought of having issues until last week, which we go back to the story I told you at the start. I did this tutorial series. And I'm at a point, I've worked with Pro Tailwind for months, and I'm ready to start producing the course. And the first step is doing these free tutorials. And I was like, when you go in that mindset, I'm going to do all recordings in one day, tomorrow edit everything. And I was watching Matt Pocock doing his TypeScript course, and he moves at the speed of light. And I was like, I got to go in this mindset and just bang, 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 start producing and just get on a roll. And I did get on this roll until I hit these hurdles, and this kind of sapped my energy because I was like, I'm finally super productive and like this is coming together, and then I've lost all the footage. And when it happens the second time, the worst part was like, I've cleared my week to be in recording mode. Yeah, my wife is at school, the school holidays are finished. I've allocated time to record. My desk is clean. I've got everything set up to record for the whole day, and then I'm like, I've completely lost any trust in QuickTime that it's not gonna mess up on me. And so I was in this scenario where like, what do I do? Do I go back to ScreenFlow? Do I ask people, what? Help me, what do I do?
Yeah, because when it happens once, it's like, oh, that was just maybe a freak accident, like maybe just some kind of glitch, maybe the camera did something weird. But when it happens the second time, the very next time you try and record it, you're like, oh, this is a real problem that I actually need to solve.
Yeah, and only when that happened did I realize that even the shorter video, there was like, like it felt like I've aligned the timeline at the start, and near the end I was like, oh, it's weird. Like I remember circling with the mouse around that thing where I talk about it, and the mouse is not moving, and it was actually like one of these, I'm dead and frozen, but it kind of blends in. And then I realized almost any recording after about 20 minutes of length is where QuickTime would start silently. That's my grief, is like, it's not saying, oh, alert, like something, or blink orange, like some frames are skipping or there's an issue with recording. It would just like not say anything. And then when you stop the recording, it would give you the recording like everything's fine. And then only then even the audio track would be perfect. So I would line up the two audio tracks and it matches. And I'm like, oh, that's a good recording. But the audio would be perfect. But the frames in the video would just completely, it will like pause on one frame for like 30 seconds. And then instead of catching up at the same time, it would like start again in delay. So it would be completely useless. Like you couldn't say, oh, I'll just redo that segment that's frozen. It's almost like it would drop frames and then stack everything, like align items, flex start, like just put everything to the start, which means you can't do anything with it. You can use the audio, but I've already have the audio from another source. And yeah, so I was like, I've lost complete faith. I need to find a way to regain confidence. And I went on Twitter and
so
I
the thrilling conclusion of our episode. What did you actually end up doing, and how did you find the right tool?
I went to that's what I do nowadays. Like I think I learned that from people with a much larger audience than me. Like they just ask the community, like, hey, what should I teach next, or what do you use? You see Wes Boss doing that all the time. Like, I've got this problem. What do you guys do? And there's 100 people volunteering a great answer straight away. And I thought I'll just ask on Twitter, like, hey, I've completely lost faith in QuickTime. Like it's died on me like multiple times in a week. I've tried restarting my computer. I've closed all the apps. I have 2 terabytes of storage space in my disk. Someone say run the disk utility first aid. I did this. It found nothing. Everything's fine. Nothing else is wrong with the computer. And I was like, I just I can't pinpoint why it would start skipping after 20 minutes. And most people in the community said, I use OBS. I never have any issues. It works great. And you can have OBS on the side monitor and you can see like the audio and the frame. Like if the frame drops, you will see, if you glance at it, you will see like 7 frames per second. Because that's another thing, when I would drop my QuickTime video in DaVinci Resolve tells you the frame rate, and it should be 60 or 30 frames per second. But then a video that felt completely normal had like 54 frames per second. You're like, oh, that's odd. Sometimes 47, sometimes 12. And that's when I realized it dropped all these frames and then kind of took the average frame rate, and it's completely out of sync and pointless. So I thought, I've used OBS before. I liked it, but it was a little bit heavy on my MacBook Pro 2019, which the fans would go crazy. And when you're recording premium audio, that's right now is not premium audio. I have the window open. I try to have a little lifestyle around this podcast. But when I just try to have the absolute perfect audio, the last thing you wanted is like the fans just behind the mic going absolutely nuts. And so, oh my God, I'm rambling. But I looked into using Ecamm Live, which is what we're using right now to record everything. And I absolutely love Ecamm. I might actually switch to this because Ecamm in version 4, which is coming soon, is going to give you the opportunity to record your screen and your camera and John as a guest and whatever input sources as separate tracks. It already does that for audio, but for now the video is just like the whatever scene you have. Like now it's us side by side. That's what you get, nothing else. And so once it's provides all these separate streams, recordings into separate files, I can just do everything: live stream, podcast recording, production, recording any device. I can do everything with Ecamm, and that's what I will do because I very, very much trust that app. But for now, I thought, oh, let's use OBS because I can record this camera with my camera and the screen with OBS and then figure out. And someone said just try OBS. It's really, really solid. And I've tried it. I've only done 3-4 recordings, but they've been absolutely flawless. Like I set an input source, which is my monitor one, which is my laptop. And then again, I've decided to record the audio, even if I also record the audio in another source, just to have that syncing stuff. And I can see the waveform, I can see the frames, and it's just, I've redone my dreaded third take of this really natural first time delivery walkthrough. It's less natural, but in retrospect, I still can show the thinking process and the journey to arrive to the full component. But it's also the delivery is also much more punchy and shorter. So it might end up being a better production, but the trauma of going through 3 recordings to achieve that, it was pretty rough. So
right,
all
nice.
of this
so now,
to say,
so you've replaced just the capturing part with OBS. So you're still doing the editing in DaVinci Resolve, but just capturing those different sources in OBS.
Yeah.
And then in the future, when Ecamm Live does support the multiple sources of video coming in, you'll move across to that. Yeah.
So I've just realized
I've had a little bit of experience with OBS as well, and it's definitely the opposite side to like something like ScreenFlow, where ScreenFlow is very intuitive and it's really easy to use all of those tools. I feel like OBS is super super solid and like pro level software, but you have to spend some time setting it up. Like you have to set up your scenes nicely, and it's a little less intuitive, but very powerful and very reliable.
So to record a screen, that's that simple. You literally say input source. You select your screen. You tell the resolution you want, like whatever it's set to. Like we do the Egghead 1280 by 720 with HDPI. So it's like that's great, and that's all you have to do. And I've just realized there's a little caveat. I record my camera with Ecamm Live instead of on the camera SD card for one silly reason: is my camera is in this freaking teleprompter box, and I literally cannot press the record button on the camera. I can reach the on and off thing, so I turn it off at night, but I have no idea where the record button I have the Sony A6100. It's like on the front side, you gotta feel it with your finger. It's not a real button. It's like almost like just a little dip, and you press it. It's like a semi button. So I can't reach this. And also I don't have any idea if there's any space left on the SD card because I can't see the flip screen. And so I've started using Ecamm just to record my camera. And because it doesn't do the split thing, that's why I use OBS for the screen. Otherwise, I would do the camera with the camera and the screen with Ecamm. But I've reached that one level. I was like, do I remove the teleprompter so I can just do the old school stuff? Not old school, my old school, like from a year ago. So it's for now it works really well. But I think when Ecamm Live has multi-tracks, I will embrace it completely. And then this will be, for recording wise, my entire production, like for streams and just getting footage into files. And then DaVinci Resolve, I'm going to tell now, I don't think I'll ever move away from it, because Resolve take a bunch of time onboarding. It's like a more like advanced level thing. You can do basic stuff like drag clips and cuts and edit and ripple delete and all that stuff like you would do in ScreenFlow very fast. But then it opens door to literally anything you want to do at a professional level. Like you want to do color grading, there's a little color tab, which is just an app for color grading, which I think was the flagship stuff that made DaVinci Resolve famous. Like professional movie people from Hollywood would use that for color grading. And then they acquired a audio company called Fairlight, an app, and Fairlight is like the audio part of DaVinci Resolve. And then they have one for motion graphics. And basically, if you invest time in honing your skills as an editor and a content creator and motion graphic designer and all that stuff, you never have to leave that ecosystem. You're like inside an app. And if you want to just edit stuff and chop up a quick clip for like a family fun little dinner out or whatever, that's fine. but then you can produce absolute like cinematic pro level stuff if you want. And what I like is you literally switch. There's few tabs at the bottom, and so there's cut. Cut is like, I never use cut, but cut is literally for like anchor, like news people that they have like a helicopter filmed an hour footage, and you have like 7 minutes to prepare like a 3-minute segment. So it lets you scrub really, really, really fast and do quick cuts. So if you have a 2-hour long footage, you can. That's the most rapid way to figuring out what to keep, what to trim out. And then you move to the edit, which is more like what you do transition and stuff. And that's usually where I stop. But then you can move to color grading and audio. I do a lot of audio stuff, and then motion graphics. And like every tab you switch to, you have the same timeline you're working on, and the timeline remains the same, but the whole interface changes completely. Like you dive into this. Now I'm in like Logic Pro instead of Final Cut Pro. But if you work with Final Cut and Logic, you have to export your thing. Like it's not like you can literally change tabs and continue working on the exact same timeline. DaVinci Resolve is that it's like the continuity between all of the things you want to do to a video. And yeah, I really love it. I'm scratching the surface barely, and I'm already doing really cool stuff. And I feel like if I spend a whole 6 months learning it inside out, doing all the tutorials I can, I would be able to do like 10 times better stuff and still use the same app, which is, it's nice. Like, you've got something that's going to grow with you. You're not going to reach the edges and then, oh, I need something a little bit more hands-on and control-y. So
yeah, totally. That's the thing that I'm worried about with ScreenFlow is like it does everything that I need right now, but there's always that feeling of like when I want to reach for that one thing, I need to do something for a specific video. Like there's going to be a ceiling that I know wouldn't be there with other things. But yeah, just that, like the amount of time that it would take onboarding and coming up to speed and being as productive as I am with ScreenFlow using DaVinci Resolve is always that friction point for me. But maybe we should do another deep dive episode, maybe a special like video episode where you go through like how you use DaVinci, and maybe you can convince me / do part of that onboarding live on stream.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, actually.
All right, Simon, we need to keep this one short. So how about we transition into what we're working on currently? How is Pro Tailwind going? Now, after you've finally got that last tutorial recorded.
I was going to say you have all the hints to understand that Pro Tailwind is at the start of production stage. I still have one more final workshop that I want to spend the time designing really well with some research, but I'm going to produce the first 3 workshops that I've delivered into self-paced videos. And part of this, there is a whole series of free tutorials, which is, like I understand and I want to make them free because that's how you build the whole momentum and like signups and stuff. But I'm like, this is so much work for like free content, but also that when you provide that value for free, people are like, you get this like shut up and take my money give. Like the people are like, you've earned karma points to have them support you. So I understand the approach. I'm putting a lot of effort doing these free tutorials. I've completed one. There's up to 6 of them. I don't think I'm gonna do 6 of them before starting recording the paid modules, but the idea is like over time, whenever I have some bandwidth, I create one of these and I made all of these available for free. And I honestly quite comfortably say it's probably some of the best Tailwind content that you can find anywhere. If you looked at the Tailwind Labs video I've done on the YouTube channel, it's that level of quality, but then with a consistent topic around this like Pro Tailwind calendar app that we're building. So there's a lot of continuity, and I'm super proud of this content. So I've recorded one. The team that works with me is now putting a course platform where you have like challenge number 1, and that's my video introducing the challenge, and then it comes up with this video with this code editor where you have the code on the left and the live preview on the right, and then when you finish you can watch the walkthrough solution. So there's that whole integrated learning experience. Just if you've done, or if you haven't, you should try it. The Matt Pocock's TypeScript course, there's a beginner tutorial that's completely free, and that's the same sort of like, feels kind of like Egghead, but with a lot of polish and specific design to support the content. For example, Matt's course, there's some tests running and you have to fix TypeScript until the tests pass. So that works great for TypeScript, but for Tailwind, you need to have a visual preview. So the team's working like on the custom Stack Blitz implementation that lets you run Monaco with like the Tailwind IntelliSense and all this stuff. It's amazing, like the level of thinking there's behind having a really polished experience. And so I have no idea how long it's going to take, but this first tutorial is gonna take place soon and just take shape and create some momentum to do the other ones. So that's what I've been working on.
Awesome. Yeah, I've watched through those total TypeScript ones. It's such a great way to create like interactive educational resources. If you haven't checked it out, go and check out totaltypescript.com. And yeah, like the idea of like going through a video that kind of introduces what the problem is, and then the video gets swapped out with like a live interactive playground where you've got this like sample code with something failing and you need to try and fix it. And then like you can obviously move on and watch the solution with Matt as well. I think that's such an excellent way to really like engage with the learning materials. It's not just like following along a video and writing it in your own editor. Kind of like offline, it's kind of this step-by-step process of guiding you through like a learning path to actually really get that stuff to sink in. So I am very excited for the Pro Tailwind version of this. What I've been working on are the remix auth helpers, which might not mean much to people outside of Supabase. But with Supabase, it works super, super well when you're doing everything client-side. But as soon as you introduce like some kind of server stuff, some serverless stuff, or anything like Next.js with API routes and get server-side props, or things like Remix where you have loaders and actions that are actually running on the server, there's a little bit of extra work that you need to do to like basically plumb through your API key to be able to make requests to Supabase on behalf of the signed-in user. And so I have been very busy at work building these auth helpers to basically abstract away that problem, so that when you're dealing with Supabase in a Remix application, regardless of whether you're on the server or you're on the client, you can basically treat it exactly the same way. So you can create an isomorphic client that when it's on the server, automatically attaches all of that additional information, and when you're on the client, just works the same way that Supabase JS always works. And so, that one, there's an open PR for that, which will hopefully, it'll be in production by the time you hear this episode if you're not joining us live, but hopefully that'll be going live in the next couple of days, which was a big blocker for me redoing my SAS course on Egghead. So I've decided to redo that in Remix now that the Remix auth helpers are available, so that there is a Next.js version if that's the way that you want to learn how to build a SAS course with Next.js, Supabase, and Stripe. That version will still be there, and I'll probably just update a couple of broken things there. But then I'm planning on recording a whole new course using Remix, and using Supabase Edge functions and a whole bunch of really cool brand new things in Supabase, which will be awesome. So that will probably be coming out, probably not for a while, because it'll take a while to put together the example and record all of the videos. But that main hurdle that was sitting in front of me actually getting to that course has now been smashed down. And so I'm very excited to get started on recording that one. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us live if you're here in the YouTube channel. My name is John Myers. You can find me at johnmyers_io on Twitter.
And I'm Simon Vrashliotis. I am at Simon Swiss on most things, mostly Twitter. Thank you so much for listening to my work-life problems. I'm glad to announce that I've found a solution. Everything is great again, and I'm happy again. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. Bye.
Bye. Yay.
Did I record?
Simon, it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to not be happy all the time. It's okay to have like difficult, sad things happen as well. You don't have to just switch it all off and be happy for everyone else's benefit. You're a whole person with whole emotions.
No. That was the end. I think the first one happened on Friday. That was the whole Friday morning I did it, and I thought I'm gonna edit and Friday afternoon I'll finish the whole course and I can tell the team so they can start building. Because they kind of wait to have at least one tutorial before saying, okay, let's deploy resources to build that thing because it's happening.
sure.
Like, which it's like you build a house, you need the electrician to do all the stuff before you can put the floors and
Yeah.
yeah, I was like going from this is happening Friday, I've nailed it. Next week I can do the second one to like, oh crap. And then yeah, just the whole I forgot how many, but 2 or 3 days of like absolute garbage. One of these days was like figuring out a solution before recording again. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I had emotions and I wasn't happy about this time.
Yeah. It's okay to have emotions. I'm glad that you managed to sort it out and hopefully won't, have to go through that stuff again
OBS.
anytime soon.
What I
OBS
like
has
is
their
I can I can't guarantee that I will remember to look at, but I can look at OBS and I can see it says like recording at 60 frames per second or 30. I don't even know what I use.
And yeah, once you can use Ecamm, like obviously you have this preview, like this video version. Once you can get the sources separately, the video sources, then you would have this preview of exactly what it would look like. Like you could see your screen recording and your talking and all of that stuff, and make sure as you're recording that it's actually, recording it in with proper frames and things.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I should go have lunch with the family because
I'm gonna have lunch with the dogs, but they're part of the family, I guess.
Yeah. All right. You have a lovely day. Good job recording another 2. We've got lots of the backlog. Plenty of
that's great. Good feeling.
buffer. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely less stress than recording it the day of and releasing it. Although I guess we will release the Next.js version. But yeah, I think that's probably yeah, you've done your bit. You've uploaded them. You're fine. Yeah, I think I'll do it tonight. So I've pushed back the release of the Astro
After
Part
Super
2.
Base.
Yeah, and the Super
Sorry
Base
guys,
will
I've got to
help us.
edit the Next.js conf.
Yeah.
I've pushed back the
I gotta
release
get
of the
I definitely have to jump back on those while there's an open PR with a whole bunch of little bits that I need to fix up. But yeah, I'll edit the Next.js conf episode tonight once the little one's down, schedule it to go out tomorrow around 11. And then we'll do part 2 of Astro, then we'll do this one, then we'll do part 1 and 2 of Next.js.
Oh, it's so good.
And then we'll do another one in between that, and then we'll do
that's April
Remix,
2023 by then.
Yeah, that's right.
It feels like it. Cool.
Yeah. So next week we need to pick another small topic that we can. A small topic, Simon. How long did we record for? This very short. Was it seriously?
Well, the live stream. I don't know how long we. I had my little panic.
Simon, we've got another 2-part episode. So we need to record another episode that sits between the 2-part episode. Nah, I think this is a good one, even if it is a little bit long. I think it's a good one to all be in that one. Like people would need the context of what the problem that you were trying to solve.
Yeah, you can't start
is,
with the second. Yeah.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna go before it fades back up. I'm gonna be really gone. It's not just a second of 3 goodbyes. This is the second and final goodbye.
With the double recording, it's like the 6 goodbyes.
So many goodbyes. Goodbyes are so hard, and I have to do so many of them with you every week.
And we're both nice, so we just keep chatting. All right. Let's say another nice thing before. Yeah. All right. Go away now.
All right, buddy. You have a lovely day.
You too.
Enjoy the
Bye,
dogs.
everyone.
Bye.